and welcome to Captain's Log, episode number 11. My name is Chris, also known as Rachel Garrett, on stowiki.org and starbaseutc.com. And first of all, please stay away from trekweb.com, especially if you want to keep yourself spoiler-free in regard to the new Star Trek movie from J.J. Abrams, because there's a headline on the front page which will spoil a major plot point for you, especially about the villain. But I think the first teaser or the first trailer will spoil that away as well. So I won't discuss it right here. So just a disclaimer, if you want to be a bit more surprised, then stay away from TrekWeb for a little bit. So TrekNews.net has a two-part interview with Michael Dorn, and there he elaborates a bit about his direct-to-DVD pitch regarding Star Trek Worf, where he wants to do basically a TV budget movie centering around Captain Worf aboard the USS Defiant, and according to him, this project got some kind of traction with CBS and Paramount. I don't know how realistic that is. And also he discusses his Kickstarter project Through the Fire. And well, this does not bode well. He has collected only $50,000 of the $750,000 he needs to start the project, and time is running out. So I think he's not on the winning side there. If you like, go check the interview and judge for yourself. On another note, another film project in the Star Trek universe has been announced. Renegade, which also brought us Star Trek of Gods and Men, wants to do another fan fiction movie. Again, Tim Russ will be directing this movie and also will reprise his role as Tuvok, and a lot of familiar faces from the Star Trek series will have roles in that production, and there's a teaser out there that we should wait for September 8th to learn more about this project called Star Trek Renegades. So and then I have two pieces of news that are kind of borderline between Trek and gaming. So first is a Kickstarter project. The development company Farsight Studios wants to collect money to digitize the Star Trek Next Generation pinball table. And you should know this is quite a good pinball table. This is a classic pinball table. The studio is specialized on digitizing pinball tables, and they've done so in the past. They just successfully completed a Kickstarter campaign where they wanted to digitize the Twilight Zone pinball table, and as a stretch goal that they didn't meet, they already wanted to digitize the Star Trek Next Generation pinball table. So this didn't turn out because the Twilight pinball fans didn't want to finance the Star Trek Next Generation pinball table. But so now Farsight Studios has put up a dedicated Kickstarter project for the Star Trek Next Generation pinball table. I have to say the pinball table is quite fun. I have hands-on experience on these tables, and they were really well done, and I had a lot of fun playing them. But these days they are hard to come by. It's hard to find a working copy. Actually, Michael Dorn auctioned off one in his Kickstarter campaign for Through the Fire, but since that does not come around, I guess the unlucky winner of that prize won't get his pinball table. So, actually, it's really hard and really expensive to get your hands on one of these days. And so basically it's a good thing to go ahead and try to digitize it. And Farsight Studios actually does not collect money for digitizing the table as such, but to pay off additional license fees for the Next Generation brand, the likenesses of the actors, and so on and so forth. The only problem that I have with this Kickstarter project is it has a very lengthy motivational video, and the founder of Farsight Studios goes ahead and repeatedly states that they want to digitize these tables to, well, archive them, to preserve them for future generations. And if you go to their homepage for the Pinball Arcade, then you will find that this company seems to go exclusively through DRM heavy distribution channels. And when you're a regular viewer of this show, you know that I actually don't like DRM mechanics in the first place, but especially if you make a buzz about how you want to do something good for society and the future generation, and you want to preserve cultural heritage and stuff like that, then DRM is certainly the wrong way to go, because, well, DRM systems have been shut down in the past and will be shut down in the future, and when that happens, actually you won't have access to that game anymore. Or this seems to be quite a small company, otherwise they would not have to go through Kickstarter in order to collect money for this game. So again, companies can go bankrupt, they can get broke, and then you have this digital artifact out there that you cannot use because it's, well, copy protected and there's no DRM server anymore there to activate it. So I'm a bit torn on this one. The table as such is really good. The table is really good, and having a digital version of that is also really tempting. But if I see their distribution channels, I'm not so excited. I don't want any of that, actually. There is no distribution platform for PC as of yet. They tell us in the Kickstarter video and page that they want to get it out for PC. I don't know if that is an indirect thing. So they are already on Xbox Live Arcade, and I have heard rumors that there might be an integration of Xbox Live Arcade with Windows 8 through the App Store. I don't know if that's true, but maybe just being on Xbox Live Arcade will eventually get it to PC through Windows 8 and the App Store there. This again is no distribution channel that I would be interested in. So put out an executable. If you are concerned about copy protection, then watermark it with my payment information. So if it pops out anywhere on a torrent site or so, you can clearly trace it back to me and sue the heck out of me. But please don't give me an executable that may not run anymore in 5 years. So I will not support that Kickstarter project, although I'm a really big fan of the pinball table. But there is a really cool game on the horizon, and that's Star Trek Excalibur. I've kept an eye on that project for basically years, I think, but it didn't occur to me to cover it on this show. So what's Star Trek Excalibur? Star Trek Excalibur started out as a mod for Star Trek Bridge Commander, which is a great game. Sadly, not many people had the chance to play it, because when it was released, Activision started to sue Paramount for damaging the Star Trek franchise, basically. And Activision thought that the license they acquired wasn't worth that much anymore. And shortly before that, the game was released, and due to Activision suing Paramount, the game has had to be taken off the market. So there aren't many copies of that game out there, but there's a really dedicated community around. This was a highly moddable game, actually. So it has Python support, which is a very potent scripting language that allowed modders to actually enhance the game with functions that it previously didn't have. So it was highly extensible, and there are websites out there where you can download mods and individual ships, and even modes where you can take a ship and cruise through the galaxy. That's really great. And actually, Star Trek Excalibur started as a mod for that game, but actually now it has its own engine. It is an independent game. It has a very dedicated community, and work on that game has continued for, I don't know, several years now. And what you do in Star Trek Excalibur obviously is, well, you captain a starship, and Star Trek Excalibur is more like a simulation game. Starships move realistically, you have complete freedom to rotate and move your starship on all axes. Individual systems on your starship have been placed in realistic positions, and if these sections of the starship are damaged, then the systems will fail. There is supposed to be a mode where you can go into an ego shooter perspective, where you can wander around your starship and, well, getting your hands dirty and make repairs yourself, but we haven't seen any of that stuff yet. And, well, it's supposed to have a single-player campaign and also a free game mode where you can simply take your starship and head out into space. And this all looks very good. And although this game has been in development for quite some time, I would think it will stay in development for quite some time. What is there yet is a very potent game engine that looks actually in some places better than Star Trek Online's game engine right now. And also it has highly detailed, very well modeled starships, again on a higher tier than what we have in Star Trek Online right now. And again, this engine that has been built for Star Trek Excalibur has been created to be highly extensible and highly moddable. What you can expect from that game is not so much a highly polished product, I think, in the end, but a platform for, well, other people who get excited about this technology platform to create missions and starships and even new game systems on their own. So this is a really exciting project, and I'll post a link in the show notes, and I'll cover updates to that game as they occur on this show from now on. With that, I would like to transition to not Trek related gaming stuff. So last week I covered on this show Planetary Annihilation, which is supposed to be a spiritual successor to Total Annihilation and Supreme Commander, two really great RTS games that I was totally in love with at the time. My friends and I played these games to death actually, and we had a lot of fun, hours and hours of fun actually. And now Planetary Annihilation was announced by Uber Games, and they raised capital through Kickstarter. And well, actually this is the first Kickstarter project that I personally put money on, so I've put my money where my mouth is. So hopefully these guys will be able to deliver. And this week, as I'm recording, they have reached their funding goal, their first funding goal, which was $900,000. But they have announced some stretch goals, and the first of which is at $1 million and $100,000 they would include naval units into the game. And I find this is a logical step. Actually, both Supreme Commander and Total Annihilation had naval units, and this is a must-have in my opinion for that game, and I hope they will reach that goal. Another stretch goal that I'm heavily excited about is a stretch goal about orbital warfare. So they would want to introduce gas giants where you actually cannot build a base on the ground, but you would be restricted to a plane in orbit, and this would be a totally different gaming experience, hopefully, from what we have seen in other games. They've already commented that this won't be something like a homeworld-ish RTS mechanic there, so something more simpler than that and much more accessible like that. But I think this is a really cool idea, and I would be excited to see that being founded. I think the Kickstarter campaign is up for 2 more weeks, so take a look at that game. And if you want to learn more about the game and the developers and the vision that they have for the game, there is a video interview of roughly 40 minutes or so on YouTube, and I've put a link to that in the show notes. And of course, there is a new indie gaming bundle out there. The Royal Indie Bundle called the Getaway Bundle has been released, including 6 games. And these include Shattered Horizon, which was a zero-gravity shooter by the company called FutureMark, which is most famously known for their 3D benchmarks. And this was an attempt from them to get a foothold in well, the gaming industry, and well, it was not so successful actually. Then it includes Analogue, a hate story, then The New Guys, which seems to be quite a poor adventure, as I've read on Metacritic. Then Super Amazing Wagon Adventure, which I couldn't find any reviews of because it is debuting in that bundle, so no information on the quality of that game. Then Waves, which seems to be a very excellent psychedelic shooter, abstract shooter, and MiniFlake, which is obviously some kind of Game Boy inspired RPG, which is still in alpha development, so no Metacritic score on that as well. So with that, I would like to continue to discuss a bit of Star Trek Online news. So apart from the usual C-Store fluff, which surprisingly was again released at a price point of more than $5 US, who would have guessed, Cryptic has released some new concept art regarding Season 6 and also some high-res pictures of the new career and faction wallpapers that are also used in-game, as I've read in the release notes, when you pick a character and when you start creating a new character. And these have been created by ThomasTheCat, and you can download high-res versions of these graphics from the Star Trek Online homepage. These are actually quite nice in my opinion. And also there is a high-res concept art graphic about from the new Azure Nebula, which is supposed to play a pivotal role in Season 7. And we can see a Solian shipyard inside an asteroid housing a Odyssey class, obviously a stolen Odyssey class. And well, this looks really cool, and I'm really happy to see that they have started to release artwork that is, well, actually gorgeous and big and has high resolution, and I'd like to see more of these actually. Then last week we've discussed that you could buy DOF officers from contact on your starbase. And well, these could not be used in fleet projects, but they could be sold on the exchange, and that was quite a hassle for a lot of people. And Cryptic actually fixed that, and now you are able to use these officers in fleet projects and to contribute them to fleet projects. So actually all the people who bought these DOFs from the exchange and were frustrated that they couldn't use them in fleet projects now can use them on fleet projects, so no harm done. Actually, yeah, well, most people got what they wanted in the first place, but they had to wait 2 weeks in order to get it. So kudos for Cryptic for actually fixing that in a way that should benefit the affected players. There seems to be a hidden flag in all duty officers which indicates if they can be used in fleet projects or not. And this does not relate to the bound property. So even bound duty officers you can contribute to fleet projects. You cannot sell them on the exchange or trade with other players, so actually they behave like bound items. But in general you can contribute them to fleet projects. With the duty officers you get from Lieutenant Ferra, obviously you can't. So there seems to be a property inherent to each duty officer that indicates if it can be used in a fleet project or not. And it would be really great if Cryptic could make that clear and add that to this information to the UI, or to get rid of that. I would really like to see this problem being resolved as well as the one from last week. Yeah, and well, this is basically all for news this week. But what I wanted to discuss is if we should include a segment in this show, or if I should include a segment in this show where we discuss tips and tricks and builds and strategies regarding certain aspects of the game. So some kind of player helps player, you got math segment on the captain's log. So I'll just put an idea out there, and maybe you can answer this question in the comments below, or you can mail that to me at trekmmo@googlemail.com. And the first question I would have for you, and that I would discuss next week on this show, if you have interest in discussing that, is how do you approach fleet mark grinding, and what are effective strategies for that? And first of all, I would like to focus on blockades. So what are good builds to do the blockade event mission? So where the freighters pop up in the 8 corners of the map and you try to defend them and get a maximum out of them. So what is the essential equipment that you should bring to that mission? What are good skills for individual careers? And what are your tactics in your fleet to effectively solve this mission and to rescue as many freighters as you can? So this is my community question, if you want, for next week. And well, let's see if a new segment might spawn from that discussion. So thanks a lot for watching. I see you out there. Good night and good luck.